Yesterday was one of the worst days I've had in a long time, and it reminded me of a job I did years ago with a guy named Jeff. We were digging up a sewer line in Long Branch that another guy cambered and sold in December of that year. We were right at the end of the driveway of a house on a big hill. It was snowing that day, and there was probably about a foot of snow on the ground. When we started digging, the first thing we uncovered was the storm drain at the curb line. It was corrugated pipe with filter paper around it, and being that the edge of the road had a metric shit ton of slush on it from the snowplows coming through, the pipe started pouring water into our excavation. Back then, we didn't have the luxury of stopping and coming back another day, so we had to keep going. The more we dug, the more the water came in, and the sandy ground turned to a sloppy mess. We tried pumping the water out, but every time the pump would clog up within a couple of seconds. So we just had to dig more and more dirt out to get to the pipe, but the more we dug the dirt, the more the road in front of us started to undermine and fall out. It was a dangerous job. When we finally found the pipe, it was Orangeburg. The turd boy drain cleaner said it was clay when he bid the job. We tried to get in the hole to work on the pipe, but the trench was filling up with water so fast that we had to keep getting out of the hole when the water would get up to our waist. We just had to keep digging more and more dirt out with sloppy buckets of water. By the time we were done, we were working on the pipe over our heads, and the freezing cold water was running right on top of us. Mind you, it was one of the coldest days of the year, probably 0 degrees with heavy wind and snow. We had the excavator pulling us out of the mud to get in and out of the trench because the dirt on the bottom was like quicksand. And one of the times Jeff was getting pulled out, his boot got sucked into the mud and he lost it. He had to work the rest of the day with one boot on. But somehow we magically got the job done and filled the slop soil back in the hole. The road collapsed a couple months later, but that's a story for another day. Me and Jeff got in the truck and hit the closest convenience store for cigarettes and coffee. Jeff went in the store smiling, soaking wet, covered in mud. Then we drove home joking and laughing about it almost to the point of tears, like we did every day. And when we both got home, we called each other on the phone, and we both sat in our kitchens drinking beers, joking and laughing till we went to sleep, like we did every day. See, Jeff was one of the most consistent helpers I ever had at that company, and by all accounts, he was my best friend. We would have probably been best friends for life if the events that come next never came to pause. See, one day I showed up to work to the boss screaming and carrying on. Jeff had quit. The boss had a bad temper, and he picked a fight with Jeff in the morning, and he was fed up with him, quit right there on the spot, and left. I called him on the phone and tried to convince him to come back, but his mind was made up. We still talked after he left, and little by little we fell out of touch. He had a new job, and I went through a divorce, buried myself from work to get my life back on track. But then one day he called me while I was sitting in a Popeyes in Union with my now wife of 6 years, who was pregnant with our first daughter at the time. He told me that his girl was pregnant too, and his baby was due around the same time mine was. So we caught up for about an hour and agreed that when the babies were born, we would get together and hang out. Kids and the girls and all. I was excited about it. I wanted my friend back. A couple months went by, and a short time after my daughter was born, I opened up my Facebook, and the first post was a picture of my friend Jeff in a suit jacket. It read something to the effect of, "Heaven gained another angel today." Some shit like that. I told my wife about it, and she kind of gave me a quick condolences and sort of brushed me off. She never knew how close we were, and I never told her. I shut my computer, and I stared down at the ground for a little while. I didn't talk about it. I put my boots on, and I went to work. Like I do every day. Anyway, Jeff, see you on the next one.